Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much to the organizers and to my distinguished predecessors here, also for their speech. I would like to briefly give you some information about our newest project, or the project that we are currently developing. I will try to keep my speech primarily devoted only to this particular subject. I may say a few words about our present development in our network, but I think for most people here in today's conference, I think the topic of our network is pretty well known, so I'll skip and I'll try to be as brief as possible about on this subject. Two words about who we are. PCC Intermodal is an intermodal operator here in Poland. We operate trains primarily in Poland and Germany and Holland. The traffic that we carry is mostly sea traffic, so the containers coming in and out through the Polish, the German and the Dutch port of Rotterdam constitute approximately 85 to 90% of the volume that we carry. The remaining part of the volume itself is something which we call inter-European traffic, not related basically to the seaports. Today in Poland we have, as most people probably here know very well, in Poland two main seaports which have four main container yards. In Gdynia 2, in Gdańsk 2, there is of course also one more in Gdynia, a very small container, say terminal, which can carry ferry and rural traffic. From a perspective of our business, what we look at today is the volumes that we carry, the volumes which are growing each year, and have led us to the conclusion that we should approach this issue with, let's say, a novel concept or a new idea, something that I will say a few words about later on in my presentation. But maybe just a few statistics about how the traffic has grown and how it's growing and how we see it growing shortly. So in 2007 we were at in Poland at approximately 700,000 TEUs. In 2008 with 800,000 TEUs. In 2009, of course, we had a drop because of the let's say the first phase of the crisis. But in 2010 again in Poland have surpassed 1 million TEUs being handled through the Polish ports. In 11, 1.3. So you see the growth is very, very steady and quite strong. In 2015, if the growth continues this way, we should see and expect approximately 2.5 million TEUs being handled through the Polish ports of Gdynia and Gdańsk. And consequently, if this continues the same way in 2020, we will probably top 4 million TEUs. Now that has obvious consequences to the volume being handled in the Tri-City. At this moment, the statistics show that predominantly most of the traffic is going through Gdańsk, through the DCT terminal, but of course the two terminals in Gdynia encompass approximately half the volume as well, put together. There we go. The 1.3 million TEUs that we have today constitute approximately 650,000 trucks on the roads. Now, for those of you who live here in the Tri-City, we all know that our roads are quite crowded already, especially during the rush hour traffic. It's very congested. So the 650,000 trucks on the roads is a major obstacle for the efficient, quick, fast movement of cargo through the Polish ports. The major problems, of course, being the roads that lead to the bypass of the Tri-City. Therefore, we have concluded in our company that we need to suggest to the market a certain new idea, a certain new project, and this project we have called the Intermodal Container Yard, or a dry port concept, which is basically situated on the outskirts of the Tri-City itself. The concept is right now being in a planning stage, and the idea is to move part of the traffic, not all of the traffic, but part of the traffic, via rail from the Polish terminals to the intermodal container yard situated approximately 50 kilometers away, and there consolidate the cargo and either put it further on by rail southwards and eastwards, of course, or possibly put some of it also on the roads. The concept today, as we see it in 2011, 2012, we see the terminals in the Tri-City. We see that most of the traffic is being handled either by rail or by road, and it's going direct from the terminals. The concept in 2015, which is let's say the target date that we are giving it this project to start up, is that we will move part of the traffic by rail directly to the intermodal container yard, and then from there distribute it on further on. Therefore, our company has secured the necessary land needed for a investment, a greenfield investment there. It's situated in a place which is difficult to pronounce for even a Pole, Tczew, but to give it even more twist, the actual place is called Zajączkowo Tczewskie. So I'm going to damage my tongue in a second, but I don't eat that too often, so I will not do it too often. Anyway, we have 63 hectares of land bought there. It's, the land is situated right next to the main roadway, the old route, the old, let's say, A1. Well, it wasn't called the A1 then, it was actually called, let's say, the land or the federal route 1. Today it's called 91. It's basically 91 because in the meantime a new highway has been erected very, very closely situated to that area. So the area is adjacent to the highway. It's also next to the main track that leads to the Tri-City. So as far as let's say the place itself is concerned, it's basically placed in a strategic place, a position where it can handle the traffic very, very quickly and very efficiently, both rail-wise as well as road-wise. The main specs of the terminal itself, which we want to build, is basically on the slide here. I don't want to read too much of it, but the idea is that it's supposed to be a quite big inland terminal with a large handling capacity, a large storage capacity, plus all sorts of other services which are today available also at the sea terminals. The benefits for the region are obvious. There will be, let's say, additional support for the Polish ports development. In our opinion, there's an implementation of eco-friendly solutions, a gateway for the international transport system, and so on and so forth. You can see this all on my slide here, and basically I don't want to read it, but the idea is it's supposed to be an added value service. It's not supposed to be something that will take away something from the Polish ports. It's supposed to add value to the Polish ports, to the Polish terminals today, and allow those terminals also to grow, allow them to expand, allow them to be, let's say, available, and for the traffic not to be clogged, congested, and so on. The terminal itself will be linked to our present network. When I say our present network, we are an independent company, and we are also very neutral as far as our services are concerned. So saying our network basically means anybody can use that network, anyone can book their cargoes on our network, and therefore it is also your network to that degree. Today we have basically the terminals which we operate through in central Poland, in Kutno, which we built last year as a greenfield operation, and along with Polsuk's terminal in Poznań, We believe these are the two most modern and available intermodal terminals in Poland, and we see this as a future. Furthermore, the two southern terminals, Gliwice and Breg-Dolny, also the terminal on the border between Poland and Germany, Frankfurt-Oder, and in the future also further expansion to southern Europe and the eastern parts of Europe, you might say. We also see this intermodal container yard as a possibility, as a catalyst for the ongoing discussion about the Baltic-Adriatic land bridge. Yes, this discussion has been going on for quite a while. It's all in theory, mostly, a little bit, one company here has already actually started implementing this idea by linking Koper, but with the Polish terminal, but nevertheless we still think it's in a conceptual stage, the Baltic-Adriatic land bridge. So let's say we think that the intermodal container yard in Tczew will be definitely also a catalyst and also a possible gateway for that particular concept to start to grow and flourish and develop and expand. And this will, of course, lead to increased trade. If you look at today's Gdańsk, for example, Gdańsk was born on trade, and the wealth of Gdańsk it came from trade. And we think that this is also the future for us here in the Tri-City. Also, this trade can go through this region, and we hope that the Tczew intermodal container yard will serve to expand and grow. And that basically concludes my presentation. I hope that it was informative, and of course, any questions, please ask. If you have any questions regarding our network, and I think it will be better if I answer them personally after the conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I just wonder if I can motivate the audience to ask any question. Any question to Jarek? I would like to have any comments maybe regarding such a project. Maybe Paul would comment. Do you think it's a good idea?
You see, this is exactly what we are doing all together, and so nothing is new. This is another hub. You need to have volumes to run block trains from point to point. So exactly this is done in Gdańsk in this nice place, Tczew. And exactly this is what we are doing in Poznan, and exactly this is what other companies are doing in other places. The more or less interesting question is, the more ports, the more possibilities, the less possibilities to run block trains, because the market is getting fragmented at the moment.
Thank you. Is there any comments or questions? Well, I have to say that this project is, of course, quite well known among the industry here in the Tri-City. It's probably not that well known in other regions. So I know that PCC has consulted the project with industry here. Okay, good luck.
If I may, what do I have to do? Oh, okay. I just wanted to comment on the idea itself, just to make it clear. We think that the volume will grow sufficiently for this project to be viable. Of course, if the volumes don't grow, if there is no traffic, then of course the project will have to be downscaled either or completely scrapped. However, if you look at today's statistics, it looks like the shift of transportation is really moving very, very strongly into the Gdynia-Gdańsk region, especially the Gdańsk port, with their expansion, and we have to approach that today, because as I think also our predecessors said before, the infrastructure investments take ages. They take many years, so we have to plan many years ahead. So today we are talking about something which will be actually very, very strong, maybe in 5, 7, 10 years from now, and not something which will happen in 2 years.
Thank you. Well, let's go to another and the last speech, and we had quite a lot of information and the presentation regarding a corridor, Baltic Adriatic. So let's now listen to Dr. Maciej Maczak. Dr. Maciej Maczak is working in Gdynia Maritime University, but he's also a consultant, a senior consultant at our company. And Maciek will present a few figures for the cargo flows, but also for, I guess, for the potential of this corridor. Maciek, please.
Hello. As Bogdan said, my name is Maciej Maczak. I'm representing Gdynia Maritime Academy and ACTA Forum, of course. And I would like to present you some first outcomes of projects we now creating in the ACTA Forum. Project concerning the corridor Baltic-Adriatic and some issues concerning the potential infrastructure and the future of this corridor. My presentation will consist of several parts. At the beginning, I would like to present you the crucial sources of the demand in the Baltic-Adriatic corridor, because we have a few cargo flows we have to take into account in this corridor. Then I will present you some structure and current, let's say, volume of cargo and the structure of the particular parts of this flow. Then a few words about the infrastructure in Poland. We, as you will see, we use a very, very simple incentives to present the quality of infrastructure. Then I will present some intermodal service which is now operating in the corridor, and the important question, how much this intermodal service is created for the north-south direction or east-west direction. We made some estimation. And then the future development. And what is important, we have two kind of demand. The first one is the potential demand, the all cargo which is creating in the corridor, and then we have some kind of effective demand. I mean, how many cargo we actually serve today and in the future, and what are the most important issues, how to change this potential demand from the effective demand. And the next one, next part of my presentation is the concept of green corridor, because we talk a lot about the intermodal, and the intermodal is important from the European perspective, because we have a white paper 2011, and we have some aims, some priorities we should manage. And at the end, the crucial element of this green corridor concept, there are externalities, because all transport activities is very, very positive for economy, for society, but on the other hand, we have a lot of negative influence on the environment, on the safety on the road, on the emissions, or things like that. If we want to share the cargo flow in the Baltic-Adriatic corridors, we divide this flow on the foreign trade of Poland, because we concentrate on the international moves of the cargo, and the transit traffic. What is important, the transit traffic today is more or less 3% served by the corridors, by the Polish part of the corridors. And in case of foreign trade of Poland, we have more or less 80% of the service done in Poland. And of course, we divide these two parts. On another level, we have European trade in the foreign trade in the north direction from Poland and in the south direction of Poland. And from the port point of view, the rural traffic is most important in this part of the market. And then we have the extra EU trade, I mean the container traffic from the Asia, from the America. It's definitely the container part of the seaports activities. And then we have transit traffic. This is exchange between the Scandinavian, Central and South Europe. And in this kind of traffic, the most important so far is also the road movement from, of course, the electricity point of view. And then we have the extra trade of Central Europe. I mean also the container traffic served today by the seaports of North Sea, of course, through intermodal service like Coast. And if we present some main flows, we can find that the most important part of this demand is the external trade of the Poland. I mean, in south is more or less 44 million tons. This is the exchange between the countries which you can see on the map. And the north direction is 5.8 million tons. Then we have the exchange between the Scandinavia and South Europe is 8.7 million tons. And we have two flows from the outside of European Union. It's the flow to Poland, and from Poland is 6.6 million tons, and flow to and from the countries of Central Europe is 5.3 million tons. And this is for today, for yesterday, actually the total cargo which could be served in the corridor, but actually the part of this flow is served mostly by the territory of Germany, of course. And the elements of the Polish infrastructure, we investigate the road and rail connections. In case of road, you can find that motorway A1 is 38% of completion. I mean, 38% of the total A1 motorway is high efficiency road connections. We still create this connection, and we hope that in the near future we will complete all the arteria. Then the express road number 5 is 10%, number 7 is 23%, and number 8 is 18%. Therefore, we can say that we have a lot of to do in the future to complete this network of the road connections. On the other hand, we can find that our rail connections, I mean, this is C65 connections. We have the average speed on the infrastructure. It doesn't mean that the train is so fast, but the speed you can achieve on this track. In the line number 9, we have 91 kilometers per hour. In line number 4 is 105 kilometers per hour, and in line number 131 is average speed is 83 kilometers per hour. So we have still a lot to do with this area. Also, is mostly in the quality of infrastructure and to increase the speed on these connections. And if we look at the flows between the Polish ports and some centers of service of intermodal traffic in Poland, we create 4 centers. It's Poznań, it's Łódź, Warszawa, and the south of Poland. We can find that the biggest share in the total service, I mean the biggest share of north-south traffic is on the south of Poland. Is 60% of traffic is the traffic north and south, and 40% is east-west. In case of Poznań, is about 30% of traffic of north-south, and the rest of the traffic is east-west. And this more or less half to half is in Łódź, and in Warsaw is 24% is going from Polish ports. The rest of the cargo going from the ports of North Sea. This is the structure of the market. We can find that if we have a long distance, the utilization of the intermodal is higher. And the main drivers of the development of cargo flows in the Baltic-Adriatic corridor, we can find that the first and the most important is the development of Polish foreign trade. As you can see, is more or less 70% of total traffic in the corridors. Therefore, if we want to increase the amount of cargo we serve in the corridor, we have to look on the Polish economy. Then we have growth in the extra-EU trade in Poland. It's an increase of container traffic actually. The average growth is 11.4% in the last 2 years. Transit traffic development. This is another part which can, let's say, increase the number of cargo served in the corridors. But as you can see, the growth is not so dynamic like in Poland. And at the end, we have also a lot of national traffic in the corridors. We find that about 89% of road and 74% of rail traffic. This is the national traffic in that corridor. Therefore, it's also very important from the point of view of capacity of the corridors and the future possibility of the service of international cargo. The potential demand for transport service, we use some assumption concern the dynamic of increase, and we can find that, as I said, the most important part is the Polish trade, and if we look at the numbers, in 2030 it will be more or less 180 million tons. Today we have about 50 million tons, so it's a rather big increase. It's almost 4 times more than today, but still is the potential demand, and how to change this potential demand on the effective demand, and how to serve this cargo in the territory of Poland. We have two incentives, in my opinion. First is utilization of Baltic-Adriatic corridor as the transit road between the South and North Europe. Today, as I said, it's more or less 3%. We have to develop the road service. We have to complete the A1 motorway, of course. We have to improve the quality of rail infrastructure if we want to develop intermodal traffic. Then we have to improve the quality of intermodal service in case of frequency, in case of capacity, in case of cost, of course, in case of quality. We have to improve the competitiveness of this mode of transport. And then this important part is, of course, the competitiveness of Polish seaports. I mean, the Baltic Hub Free City, we should let's say, activate or encourage more cargo to the Polish ports. Improving or another model vessel in the Baltic, in Free City is very, very important, because the competitiveness between the Baltic and North Sea is still a crucial element of the development of transit traffic in our corridors. And of course, we have to take into consideration also the demand of domestic transport and influence on the corridor capacity and utilization. And if we change this potential demand on the effective demand, we can find that depends on this scenario concern the utilization, the level of the share of the transit traffic in corridors. We can find this more or less 120 million tons of cargo is more or less 3 times more than today. And what is important from our point of view, this is the modal split of the cargo traffic in the corridor. Today, according to our estimation, is 22.4% of cargo is served by rail. It's important that this include also, or maybe include all the cargo transferred in the corridor, also bulk cargo. If we let's say, do nothing, or maybe if the development of our transport system will be increased like today, nothing important will happen. The share of the rail traffic will limit in the future to the 90.8%, and the last scenario is the Green Corridor scenario, according to the priorities of the white paper of the European Commission. We have to move 30% of the cargo from the road to rail, above 300 kilometers, and if we will complete this element, the share of the rail will be increased to 38.4%. It's of course very high share of the rail traffic, and we have a lot of questions, let's say, about the possibilities of achieve this level. It will be not very easy. And the last slide of my presentation, I said that the important issue in case of development of transport system, and of course from the point of view of development of Baltic-Adriatic corridor, is the level of externalities. According to the calculator of Marco Polo program, we can find that current situation is more or less 200 million euro per year. These are the externalities of the cargo flow in the Baltic-Adriatic corridor, all cargo of course. And if we calculate the externalities according to our basic scenario, basic prospect, this level will increase up to 700 million euro per year, and according to the green scenario, will be limit this externalities level up to 18%, and will achieve a level of 600 million euro per year. So actually the best solution, it will be to do not develop the corridor from this point of view, of course, but it's impossible to stop the development of transport, is obviously. So we should use the more efficient, from the environmental point of view, solution for development of the corridor. So the intermodal traffic is the only way to limit the externalities and to improve the quality of our lives. This is also important issue from the, let's say, strategic point of view in the future. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Do we have some questions? Yes.
First question is, what was the methodology of establishing model split scenario? First one. And second is, what does it mean, development of transport, in your approach? Thanks.
Thank you. For the question, the first one concerns the methodology. We investigate the traffic on the particular connection on road and rail. We estimate the amount of cargo which is generated on particular connections. Then we recalculate our model split on this basis. And the second one, development of transport, it's from this research point of view, this is the increase of quantity of cargo we serve. I think it's only the qualitative, let's say, view on this problem. We do not
taking into account any quality issues, let's say.
Thank you. Are there more questions? As I said, we are probably have asked all the questions during the day, so it's hard to bring a new one. Maybe it's worth to recall that, as Maciej said, there are only 3, I think 0.5 or something % of a transit cargo in Polish ports. So I think there are big potential for transit cargo in Poland, but still the share is very, very low. And I think that the second conclusion is that if you want to count on the future Baltic Adriatic corridor, you should rather count on the Polish cargo origin. That's at least my understanding of the story. Okay, is there anybody who would like to add to this session, or any comment, or anything? It seems